At this time, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Nashville Town Council to order on this Tuesday, November the 14th, 2023. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Father, we invite you into this meeting tonight, and we ask you to lead us and guide us and give us wisdom to make the right decisions for every citizen in Nashville. Amen. Amen. Our councilman Larry Taylor is not here tonight. He's in the hospital, and he certainly would appreciate any prayers. So please remember Larry in your prayers for the rest of the week, and we hope that he'll be well soon. The first item on our agenda is our approval of our meeting minutes, October the 5th, 2023 meeting minutes. Were there any corrections to those?
Page 15, maybe at the top.
Okay.
This was in reference to the social district. There were 19 people who spoke against the social district downtown. In the next sentence it says most were against a social district. I would say I was at that meeting and all were against it, not most.
Any other correct?
And on page 29, midway of the page, so Councilman Taylor asked how much money grants had the town received in the last.
Is that on these minutes, Louise?
Maybe it's in.
I think it's the next one. Okay.
I have one on page 22 of 97, which is still the October 5.
Okay.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down, where it says he was looking at everything that people have mentioned, and the only thing he can say is he has heard want. It should be what.
Any other corrections? The next minutes we need to approve October 17th, 2023. Any corrections to those?
Page 29.
Okay.
Councilman Taylor asked how much money the town had gotten in grants in the last 4 years. And Mayor Brown responded 19 million in the last, 4 years. According to Randy, you gave us a printout of grants.
8.9.
It's 7.3
7.2.
total. So,
At that time, yeah.
so the 19 needs to be changed to 7.3.
Any other corrections? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Public comments. If you're going to speak on a topic on the agenda, please hold until we get to that topic to speak at that time. Tony, state your name and address.
Mayor, before you go, maybe you would let the people know the special use permit for the Birchwood Preserve Townhouse development has been postponed or
till-
continued until January.
Okay. I think I told most people about that,
Okay.
that I saw that came in.
Sorry, Tony.
Tony Koenig, 708 West Court, Nashville. Everybody knows it's been posted on social media lately. And I'm going to call it exactly what it was. It was a hit job. It was taken, written, and posted on social media about our town manager, who's done nothing wrong. Somebody has got an axe to grind. And I want to commend the town for putting out that letter, rebutting it all. And I'd like to see Nashville actually do more than that. Because Randy has done nothing wrong. And a lot of the people who have been so-called liking it or making comments, they don't live in town, and they sure as heck don't pay taxes in this town. So what do you care what goes on in Nashville to start with? Randy has done nothing wrong. And the second thing is, it's interesting to me, as some of the people who chose to like that letter, the hit job, some of those individuals have been before this council asking for something and have gotten something in the past. Or you got some of those individuals who may come in here asking for something. Well, if the game you're going to play is take a hit job out in the town manager and then like it, you come in this chamber, you should get not one red cent. And secondly, you should be shown the door. If you're going to attack the town manager, you're going to attack the council, you're going to attack the town, don't come asking for something. Doesn't make sense to me. And to the person who wrote that hit job, it's too bad you're going to sign your name to it. Why do you got to go to this fighting crime website? Most of that stuff on that site is nonsense anyway. But that's all I wanted to say. I only took a minute and a half.
Thank you. Let's see. Rosemarie, is yours on the agenda? Okay.
Rosemary Evans, 700 South Creek Drive, Nashville. Wanted to talk about the pipe bomb incident on October the 2nd, 2023 at a South Creek community. That was very disturbing to us and all of our neighbors. Lives were disrupted for around 5 hours. For our little town to have crime of this caliber rear its ugly head is very sad to me. I'm not sure what that outcome is, but our home is located at the South Creek entrance. My husband and I were witness to the entire situation as law enforcement set up security in front of our home. Our Nashville first responders did a wonderful job, and we thank you. A big thank you to our neighbor who reported the pipe bomb to authorities after locating it at the corner of his yard. And like I said, lives were disrupted for about 5 hours. We were sheltered in place. With all this said, we are faced again with a safety issue of one ingress-egress in our South Creek community. We've been in our home for 26 years and seen at least 3 other major incidents that have blocked the entrance for hours. We've had a house fire in the neighborhood, several vehicle accidents right at the entrance on Highway 58, which is a very busy highway. When the subdivision was developed in the 1990s, there was a plan to have another egress ingress off of Windy Oaks Drive, tying it into Village Lane and to Highway 58 on First Street. We understand that the additional ingress-egress should have been the responsibility of the original developer. However, that developer dropped the ball and did not complete what was planned. Years ago, as a community, we asked the town of Nashville to consider another egress-ingress road to Highway 58 First Street for the South Creek residents. It never happened. Since that time, our community has grown so much, and whenever there is an incident that blocks the one entrance, there is a safety concern. Our neighborhood infrastructure is not safe. We received calls and texts from many of our neighbors on October the 2nd during those 5 hours, during the pipe bomb incidents, to see if our entrance was secure. People needed to get home from work, go to school, go to work, and leave to take care of elderly family members. I realize this is not something that might take priority in an already tight budget, but I ask the town council to please put this concern on the list of infrastructure issues that can possibly be addressed in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Cole. Where's Sharon? There she is.
Sharon Cole, 412 East Church Street. And I'd like to address the problem of speeding down Church Street. It has come to my attention that there also have been letters of, for neighbors to sign as a complaint letter, and that has been done. I don't know if it's been turned in to you yet, but anyway, my experience with it is that I live on the corner of Lumber and Church Street, and I see in both directions 40 to 45 mile an hour speeds. Most of the time it's at night, but I have even seen school buses come down that street going at least 45. It's a 25 mile an hour speed zone. It's a residential area where children live. And right across the street from me was a family last year that had 2 young children, and they were old enough to be on bicycles, and the speeding scared them to death. They could have just gone in the wrong direction and gone over the curb for fear of the noise. And it is always loud, booming noise with these vehicles. Engine parts as well as music. At that time, when I saw that event, I called, I think it was the police department or safety department, and asked if there could be a speed bump put in, and possibly 2 put in the neighborhood. They said that they would put a metered speed reading trap up, and they did. They placed it right on the corner of Lumber across the street from me, and it stayed there for about a week. And of course, people approaching that sign from about halfway down the block could see that it was going to catch them speeding, and they immediately started slowing down. About a week followed, and they placed it down about another block, and it was the same result. They told me that there were no speeders that they had captured on Church Street. And since that time, there has just been an abundance of trucks and cars and all kinds of vehicles, and even the school buses going by. And I see, I'm retired, I see them daily. So I am a witness to it. And you have on this letter other witnesses that are having the same trouble. There is a curve in the road, and they might slow down at the curve around where the Walgreens is.
Thank you
But-
so much for sharing your
Thank you.
concern. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Hope you will
So very
address it.
much.
Thank you.
And every other item will address something on our agenda. The first new business is Children's Christmas Parade. Corey?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here requesting a special event permit for our annual Christmas event that we do in partnership with the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. We have changed the event a little bit from what we did last year. Last year, we did the the bike parade first, leaving from the library, going on Austin Street, and then up onto Washington Street. And then we followed that with our activities. This year, we decided to do our activities on the front end in the county building parking lot, starting at 2 o'clock. And then at 4:30, we will have the bike parade. That bike parade is going to meet in the courthouse parking lot and go down Washington Street to the far end of the Battleship, loop around, end at the Christmas tree. We will do a quick tree lighting ceremony, and then hopefully have a special visit from Santa Claus and have pictures with him at the exchange. The activities that we will have beforehand include some games, visits from the Grinch, Elsa. We will have a train for kids to take a ride around the county building parking lot. So lots of fun activities. Of course, with this closing a street, it does require a public hearing and a special event permit from the town.
Do I hear a motion that we go into a public hearing concerning this issue?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone that has would like to speak concerning this? If not, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Corey, back to you.
That's all I
Is that
have,
it?
Mayor.
Okay. So we're ready for our Christmas parade.
We have to.
So do I hear a motion for the town council to approve this Christmas parade resolution 2023-46?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 The next item on our agenda is the tree, removal trees. And so those of you that came to speak on that, Donald Street, would you like to speak to that issue, and then we'll address it?
Yes, thank you very much. For the record, I'm Donald Street. I'm chairman of the town tree board, and I also live at 112 Golfers Lane. That's in Nashville, by the way. The plan here is to cut down 17 trees over on this lot right behind the fire department. As you know, or may not know, many years ago, the town bought that piece of property at a high price. And the plan was to create a back door for the fire department so they could get out in case Barnes Street ever got jammed up. But somehow the passage of time and people, that idea got lost. So it seemed like it's become a lay-down yard for the police department. At our last meeting of tree board, it was brought to our attention that there was some discussion that the people in the property next door own the apartments next to this piece of land, these trees in question. One of the trees cut down for fear they'd fall on their apartment. Well, we looked at the trees, and all the dangerous trees, the leaners, are actually on the property of the apartment and not on the town property. The trees on the town property are all healthy, all mature, all good, safe, sound, solid trees. And we're of the opinion there's no need to cut the trees down just to cut them down, for fear they might fall on something, which they likely will never fall. And if fear of falling trees is a problem, we probably need to cut down every tree in town because everything will fall sooner or later. I'd also like to suggest if you're going to intend to use that for a lay-down yard, you take the money you're going to spend to cutting down the trees and buy some consistent housing, because they got every kind of truck body, tin building, everything else back there holding junk that needs to be standardized. Also, if trees are a real problem, the town also owns land right behind the town hall, which is all flat and clear. If you want to move over there away from the trees, but save the trees. We're a tree city, a tree town, and if we're going to be a tree town, let's set an example by saving trees instead of cutting trees down. Because trees have really been taken out of this town in the last 2 years. And with projects that's on the books now, there's going to be more and more and more trees gone. So one day we may look like a town in North Dakota. So anyway, I'm here with members of the tree committee, and we're here to save our trees.
Thank you very much.
I think I got them all. But anyway, right now, in the study of the trees, there's no clear and present or imminent danger of anybody falling. Tree that may blow over, but then every once in a while a hurricane, and everything blows over. Okay, anyway, thank you for listening. I
Thank
hope you
you.
will save the trees.
So, Randy, I'll turn this over to you at this time.
So Donald is correct. The owners of the apartment building did contact the city and did express concerns about several of the large trees leaning that way. If they were to come down, they'd come down on their apartment building or on their tenants' cars, concerned about the damage and potential harm that could come from that. Donald is also correct. Since we put the driveway onto South Body Street for that lot, we have been using it as a deployment area for emergency equipment. On that lot, police and fire both have several trailers that are full of rapid response, quick response equipment, confined space, rescue equipment, barricades. One of the trailers has a couple of side-by-sides in it so that they can be hooked up quickly and taken away. The pine trees, if you have any and you park under them, you know what a pain they can be. So I was informed by the owners of the apartment what they had spent to have 2 large willow oaks taken down on their property along South Body Street. And it was pushing $20,000 for two trees. And the prices we got back on 17 at $11,500 seemed like a really inexpensive venture compared to what they have. But, the staff would like to request the council's permission to have those trees taken down so that what we park under doesn't get buried in pine needle leaves and sap. So we have the request. Now, we don't have this money budgeted. It would take a budget amendment in the amount you see for the low bid in order to take those trees down. So that's the request.
Do any of you have any comments, council?
Just being on the tree board and listening to what was said there, they were looked at. They are healthy trees. It was unanimous. Yes, they might be a little bit of a nuisance. It wouldn't be my preference for the trees in there, but they are healthy. They are mature. I think if they do become diseased, they do become a potential issue, we look at it then. But right now, it just seems like we're spending good money on something that's unnecessary.
So, go
I
ahead,
have a
excuse me.
question. Don, you were quoted in the Telegram as saying the only tree that was a concern was not on town property.
That's correct.
Okay.
That was, excuse me. Let me move back up here so I'll be recorded. The tree that was leaning towards the apartments was actually on the apartment property. There were 2 leaners, and they looked like they've grown out trying to get to the sun, trying to come out of the grove, which pine trees will do that. And there was one leaning, one rather precipitously, but that was not on town property. All the rest of the trees that belong to the town, they're all vertical, healthy, straight, and just do their normal stuff of dropping leaves and cones and sticks and stuff like all trees do.
Are we
And
sure
sap.
about that it's not on the town's property? I know it looked like that when we were looking at the,
I'm pretty sure that we had a place
tax
surveyed when
records.
we bought it, and the survey line of the property is actually setting into the trees. It's not on the edge of the
Okay.
pavement like everybody thinks it is, but it's several feet into the trees. So,
well, maybe you
yeah,
can
it's-
inform the apartment owners that if they're
It's
concerned
not
about those
ours.
2 trees in particular, that they're on their property.
Absolutely.
okay. Other questions? You need me? Thank you.
Do I, Kate, would you like a motion not to?
I move that we leave the trees as they are until they become an issue and then
Second.
address it.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 The next item on our agenda is Sean, the nuisance abatement hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you can see tonight, we have a hearing tonight on the property of 714 Bayberry Lane. I believe Mr. Wyman is here tonight. He is here, so we can bring him up for questioning. But it all started pretty much, we got a complaint about the noxious growth of overhanging and protruding trees on Mr. McGee's property. We went out and cited him. He started working on the front and the backyard as the town asked, but he was just not kind of moving at the speed that we were expecting. So after going back and doing some inspections, we see that he has made some strides, but I guess we will let you guys decide tonight if it's where we think it'll be a standard to remove it, or either have the town go in and do the removal of it. I'll entertain any questions right now before we get started. I believe we have pictures right there of how it was when we first started with the project. He has taken down some of that stuff off of the street already when I went by today and looked at it.
Do we have any updated pictures as to what it looks like today?
They are, I sent them out by text. I don't think we got them in, but I mean,
Okay.
I can snag it to my phone and get some sent to you. He's gone in and removed a lot of that stuff. Still is some limbs in there, trees in there that where you can see, but the biggest thing is the ground covering, and we can bring Mr. McGee up if y'all have any questions for him. If not, we can entertain some more from me.
So, Sean, is progress being made on this property?
When I went by today, Mr. McGee was working on it. I can say there was some progress made. Is that the speed? You know, my speed.
Has
his
it been
speed.
made since we attended?
Since we attended, you can see a difference. The biggest thing, like I explained to Mr. Town Manager Lansing yesterday, was it's hard to tell from, you see big piles where he has cut stuff down there, but it's kind of hard to also tell with it being falling leaves or falling. Because right now everything is bare where you can see through there. So you can see progress. The biggest thing I would just say is, once again, the town speed versus his speed is kind of hard to determine between which one is he's moving at the rate we want to move at, or is he at a rate where he think is good at.
Wyatt, if you wouldn't mind coming up. So I guess my question is, are you planning on continuing to clear out?
I've got some prepared remarks on the issue, which I would like to share at the appropriate time. Sure, I'm glad to comply with any town ordinances. Some of my neighbors, I feel like, have want me to comply with their standards, not necessarily the town standards. So, but anyhow, I'd be glad to. I've been working with Sean, and as you'll see through my prepared remarks, I've had a lot of things going on in my life, but I've been working at it really hard. So,
Okay.
Would you like to read those remarks at this time, Wyatt?
sure, if that's
Okay.
appropriate, sure. And I've got some photos I'd like to share with you as well. In fact, let me go ahead and share some of these. These are photos of materials which I've taken down. Well, you can wait on that one. The third time, the Public Works has come by twice before, and those are ones that are out there currently, piles of, that I've taken down. So in order to give you an idea where I'm coming from, I'm a current member of the town's tree board, a former staff member of the Rocky Mount Tree Board, and a volunteer youth soccer coach in Nashville, Red Oak, among other things. I participated in several tree plantings and pruning events in Nashville, including initiating the planting of trees at the playground at Glover Park. I'm the father of a 12-year-old daughter who's very active in sports and other activities. I have two elderly parents who live an hour away who have needed my assistance in going to doctor's appointments and other things. I also have a single older friend with no family who has deteriorating eyesight and cancer, who depends primarily on me to drive him to Duke Cancer Center for appointments and treatments. Toward the end of last month, I injured my back, which required me to take a 10-day break from doing yard work. Thankfully, I found someone to help for a few hours, and I recovered enough to be able to resume working in the yard for the last few days. In spite of these personal challenges, over the last month, I've worked hard to comply with the requirements in the town manager's letter of October 11th, and I believe I have complied with those requirements. Specifically, regarding the first two items in the town manager's letter, I have gathered up the dead limbs on the property and placed them by the street to be mulched. I have cut down the few dead trees and shrubs and also put them by the street, as you can see for the photos I've submitted. And I've cut down many smaller trees, in particular the non-native ones, and cut them into sections that are small enough to assist the Public Works Department in putting them into their chipper. I've cut down these trees even though I'm not aware of any town ordinance that specifically limits the number of trees one can have on a property. And I will also note that one of my budding neighbors for many years had a row of Leyland cypress along the front of the street of their property, which shielded the view of their property as well. So that has been done. I'm not sure anyhow. Regarding the maintenance of trees and shrubs, I like to follow the recommendation of arborists, which are otherwise tree experts or scientists, that natural organic materials such as bush and tree trimmings and leaves provide mulch for growing trees and shrubs, which is necessary for the optimum growth and health of such plants. When these materials are continually removed from a property, the nutrients in the soil will be reduced over time. These natural organic materials also help to maintain soil moisture, which is important for healthy plants. Other benefits of mulching include a reduction in erosion and water runoff, which helps to maintain the efficiency of stormwater/drainage systems. Another benefit to the town of on-site mulching is that it saves the town financially in that the materials do not have to be transported off-site and landfilled. Therefore, as an environmentally aware and responsible citizen, it has been my practice to seek to mulch the natural materials that are generated on the property on the site. In the past, I had a small chipper which enabled me to process the materials into mulch, but unfortunately that chipper is not working now. Therefore, I was glad when after a discussion with Sean, it was agreed that if I put the yard waste by the street, the town public works would chip the material and distribute it from the chipper directly back onto the property as mulch. Unfortunately, the next time public works staff came by, all the limbs and twigs I had placed by the street were carried away and I had no mulch. After a second discussion with the town manager, it was once again agreed that public works would chip the material and distribute it as on-site mulch. Unfortunately, for a second time, when public works came by the property, they were not aware of our discussion, so I had to get their attention and explain what had been agreed to. As most of the yard materials had already been processed and put into the town truck by the time I was able to go out to the street and get their attention, they were gracious enough to dump some of the mulch in a pile for me to use. Since then, I've been transporting this mulch bucket by bucket to areas on the property that had bare soil or otherwise needed the additional mulch. Hopefully, going forward, Public Works will chip the material directly onto the property so I don't have to transport it by buckets. And I look at that, hopefully that continuing agreement as a win-win for the town and for me. Regarding rats, mice, and snakes, I have never seen any of these on the property except for one time a few years ago where I saw a black snake near the driveway. Occasionally, I will see evidence of a mole or a vole in the grassy areas, but it seems that neighbors' cats are keeping them in check, and I would expect that other lots that have more grassy areas would have more voles. I'm proud that the property has been a sanctuary over the years for birds, squirrels, and a few rabbits from time to time. As a part-time bird watcher, I've observed a few species of bird that I've not seen anywhere else. I haven't seen a rabbit recently, though, also due to the cats and an occasional hawk or owl that comes into the area. Regarding the potential that the property would pose a threat to the public health or safety, I would say that examples of true threats to the public health or safety would be a property that has pesticides dumped on it or has a failed septic system that is overflowing, or a driver who backs recklessly onto a street or drives at excessive speeds on a street. It is interesting to me that the town started receiving complaints about the property shortly after I complained to the town about a teenager who was routinely driving down Bayberry Lane at excessive speeds. People should be able to walk down the street and children should be able to ride their bikes without having to worry about getting out of the way of reckless drivers. And I don't see how having less grass and more trees and ground cover than my neighbors would constitute a threat to the public health or safety. In fact, the ground cover they have, which is emerald blue phlox, I planted with the intention of beautifying the area because it has flowers in the springtime. In retrospect, I may not have done that based on the complaints I've gotten. In fact, another thing I'd like to point out is a wooded lot requires less fossil fuel use to be maintained than does a lot with grass. And in the summer months, trees provide shade, which can significantly reduce the cost of cooling a dwelling. Regarding aesthetics, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people prefer grass over trees. Others, like myself, prefer trees and less grass. To me, a property without any trees and shrubs is unsightly and less environmentally responsible than a property that includes trees and shrubs. For the reasons I previously mentioned, for those reasons. In addition, a study a few years ago showed that a wooded lot in the United States sold on average for $10,000 more than a lot without trees. But I'm not trying to force my neighbors to have less grass and plant more trees and shrubs on their properties. So I would expect the same respect from anyone who would try to coerce me to have more grass and less trees and shrubs. In regard to the third item listed in the town manager's letter of October 11th, which is in regard to tree limbs overhanging a public street, I have taken extraordinary measures in order to comply with this standard. And I've got a couple of copies of a picture, which I'd like to distribute to you. Thank you, Sean. It's duplicates, the same picture, duplicates if you want to pass one along. So this is a picture of me. I put a ladder on the back of my truck in order to get up to 12 feet in height and cut the few tree limbs that were hanging over the street. Thankfully, I did not get hurt doing so, other than putting a bit more strain on my back than was ideal. The only other alternative to doing that would have been for me to pay a tree trimming company at least several $100s to trim the trees or to have the trees removed. I'm concerned that this requirement is going to become a disincentive for anyone to plant trees anywhere near a street. Older people and lower income residents will not be able to physically or financially have trees anywhere near a street in Nashville. It would seem that Nashville as a tree city would want to have more trees along streets instead of less. Maybe it would make more sense for the town to maintain tree limbs that grow over the right-of-way, like I believe has been done on Washington Street and in many other municipalities. I'm also concerned that this requirement about limbs over the street is being selectively enforced against me. I have another photo which I'd like to share with you. As you can see from this next picture, the next door property clearly has limbs protruding over the street at less than 12 feet over the travel surface. I'm personally not that concerned with this particular tree, but I would expect that in the name of equal justice that the same standard that's been required of me would be applied to everyone else. And I've noticed a few other trees in the neighborhood that are overhanging the street to some extent. In conclusion, I hope that the town will recognize the efforts that I have made over the last month and will reasonably conclude that I have complied and in some ways exceeded the requirements of the town manager's letter of October 11th. If there are any particular concerns, particularly from council, I would be glad to seek to address those, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
I have a question for you, please.
Sure.
If I went out there from the last time I went,
Yes.
could I see that you've
Yes.
made a lot of progress?
Yes. I think if you look at the piles in the photos, and those are only a third or somewhere in that neighborhood, they're probably a little bit bigger than the earlier piles that Public Works took away, but that's a significant amount. And actually, if you actually go out there, it actually looks on site. It looks more than actually the photos don't really quite do justice to it. They're huge piles. So, and like I said, I went and took down trees that I'm not aware of any requirement that I had to do that. But I did that to try to be a good neighbor and there were some trees that were non-native species which I really didn't really care for anyhow. So,
Sean,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have any comments?
The fact of the
been-
matter is tonight, Council and Mayor, is I guess it's our judgment of when we ride through our neighborhoods, we want our properties to look like, I'm gonna use HGTV as an example. Beautiful neighborhood. Mr. McGee has made significant amount to try to get there. But even there's still leaves on the ground, some ground covering that has not been cut yet that we talked about last time. And there's still some trees in it. Like I said, it's hard to determine now because with the leaves falling, if he's still alive. There are a lot of piles. I will not take it away from him. There's a lot of piles on the street where he has made work. But it's still that gray area of is it where we want it and what the citizens of the neighborhood want. And I know Mr. McGee would argue why should his house reflect his neighbor's house, but at the end of the day, I think that's what the neighborhood will want him to try to reflect them at the best ability he could.
Any questions, council?
Well, while we all like aesthetically pleasing things, I can understand that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. My concerns are more practical, like what it says in here. If something threatens to become a fire hazard or a harboring place for rats, mice, snakes, or other vermin, it's an issue. I think as far as the trees by the street, rather, I think the concern is always of limbs falling on passerbys, on vehicles. I think the concern is visibility. So if you're backing out of your driveway and no one can see your car coming, or you can't see the street from your driveway, it's a concern. And then traffic passing, you know, you want to be able to drive through a street without driving through tree limbs. So I understand all of those. If you can continue to, you know, comply with what this ordinance says, if the town can continue to chip on site so that you're happy, you get the mulching that you want, you can clear up how it is, I'd rather the town not come in, because then we're going to have a conflict of what Mr. McGee would like to keep versus what we would like him to keep.
Right.
So if you all can just work on a time schedule, and I get that you're busy, so something reasonable where he can comply within a certain time frame, or maybe there's checkpoints throughout that.
Okay.
I would think that that would be probably the best case scenario.
And Sean, you've given him a time frame up to this point.
We have given them some extensions, and then we gave him the final one, which was by today. And like I said, I won't take it away. He has made a substantial amount of work done, but it still kind of meets that threshold of the leaves on the ground covering hasn't been cut, and other things that kind of we still talked about. I would yield to say either one or two options. You know, of course, our first option, we turn the page, and I'm, Manuel, this evening, we have got a bid out to, well, I don't know if it's in this one, I know it's in the one that Randy provided. We do have a bid out for our town vendor to come in and do a cleanup of the property at $3,500. Or we could yield to giving Mr. McGee another opportunity to our next council meeting to see if he can finish up those other things too, where we wouldn't have to go in there, because then, like you said, it does fall on what we determine is not a tree and what he determined is a tree. I will yield to the council to make a decision on that, and we will do it to the best of our ability to work with Mr. McGee, or we can have our vendor come in within the next 2 days, and he can clean up the entire front yard and make the property look like a property you will see on HGTV when you ride through a neighborhood.
Well, I don't think we have any extreme requirements, you know, of places looking a particular way. But as I said, you know, we do have a requirement that it can't threaten to become a fire hazard or a harboring place. And so, and we can't obstruct view and traffic and things like that. So if we could comply with this part of the ordinance, and I think that based on these pictures, that definitely needs work. I don't know what it looks like today without seeing pictures of what you've done. But it does need to be addressed in some way. And then I think in order to, you don't need to have, you know, fescue grass or whatever it may be, but you do need to have some sort of ground covering. I think that's not leaves. That could be that harboring place. That could be that fire hazard.
Right.
So are we going to have a timeline?
If we do, Councilwoman Hinton, we would say by the next council meeting, if y'all are in agreement with that, and we'll get an update on it. And if
Council
it,
needs to ride by and see it.
Right. And if we, yeah, if we could get updated pictures,
we will, we can send
That would
those
be
out
great.
on the.
Or you could ride by.
We can do that, we could do a ride by, or either we can send out on the weekly report.
Okay.
When Randy sends out his manager report, we can attach those photos to it.
Do we need that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we grant Mr. McGee an extension until the next council meeting with some progress reports provided by Sean to us.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and we will make sure we get those out to you by the next meeting.
Sean, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, Councilwoman.
There is no homeowners association in Woodfield, is that correct?
There was, but I think
Expired.
it's
The
expired.
covenant has expired, but we do have it still, the original covenant
Right.
when the homeowner association was intact, we do have the covenant there that we did share with Mr. McGee. All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the location of the performing arts stage at the Nashville Junction, and we have two people that would like to speak to that, so I'm going to let them speak at this time. Mary John Matthews.
Well, maybe I should wait until after Cole gives his
Okay, that'd be fine, either way.
kind of answer to that.
Okay, Corey, you go first.
Good evening again. So I'm here today to ask council to consider changing the location of the stage that is to be installed at the Nashville Junction. As you know, construction is underway at the Nashville Junction for the parking lot and stage. We currently have the stage approved to be installed on the southeast corner of the grassy area, facing towards the corner of Cross and Barnes Street. After hosting several events at the venue and discussing the venue layout with stakeholders, we feel that moving the stage, the location of the stage, would be beneficial. And we are requesting council consider moving the stage to the northeast corner of the grassy area. And I have some pictures where I can point out once I get through here. By moving the location of the stage, we will be able to increase the viewing area to include the farmers market shelters and the patio on the north end of the junction building itself. This also makes having music while events are going on, such as the farmers market, more inclusive, rather than play into a separate audience. Even though this puts the stage closer to residential properties, it allows performers to project sound away from the residential areas and moves the viewing area away from that side of the property as well. I did have a sound engineer from a company called Biamp do an ease report, which is attached in your agenda. And that ease report shows the sound dispersion of sound from the proposed stage location. And that report showed that moving the stage would have less of an impact on the residential areas. So the stage kit has been ordered, but it's not scheduled to be delivered until the February-March timeframe. The contractor would like to go ahead and pour the base of the stage and do what he can at this point, but he is waiting on us to make a decision on where exactly we want the stage. And we also had Stocks Engineering put together an alternate site plan. So in addition to what you had in your packet, I did have a few slides in a PowerPoint.
Got the clicker?
I do have the clicker. I think we have to, it'll let me change it. I'm going to try to do this best I can. So this is the revised site plan of the parking lot and grassy area. You have Cross Street here. You have Barnes Street here. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger. This little area here is where we're proposing the stage be located now. Currently, it is approved in this corner, kind of mirrored to where it's at in this site plan. So by changing the location where it was before, it would be facing, kind of playing towards the parking lot. This would make it to where you could see the performers and hear the music from your farmers market shelters, which are here, and from the patio on the junction building itself, which is here. The next couple slides, this is just pictures of the exact stage kit that we have ordered. These are, this is the stage that is behind Smith's Red and White in Dorchester. So you can get an idea of how tall it is. To the peak here, it's right at 20 foot. So that's what it would look like from the front. This is what it would look like from the rear, and we do plan on closing these areas up on ours just to kind of help project the sound away from behind that stage. And then we've got a view on both sides. So this slide here is an excerpt from that ease report. You did get the entire ease report in your packets. This, I believe, was on page 55. And what this showed is it has the same site plan layout, so the stage is in the same location here. And essentially, the closer the color is to red, the higher the decibel amount, or the more sound you'll have there. So as you can see, it shows in this location that you have the majority of your sound going forward. If we were to put the stage where we were talking about before and you rotate that entire thing around, you can see that it actually would be louder in the other location. And then again, this right here is an example of some sound absorbing panels that we can purchase. Mr. Lansing and I discussed putting those on the inside of the stage, again, just to do everything we can to make sure that that sound is projecting out and not back. There's a lot of different versions of these, but it's something that if council thought it was necessary, or if we needed to add them down the road, that's something that we could do. And again, I've got a couple more photos here. This one was a little hard to see with the shadows of the trees there, but trying to give you an aerial view of the proposed stage location. So we have marked the approximate location with green cones. We did leave those there. They're there currently, just to kind of give you an idea of where that stage would be located. Same here, just a different angle there and trying to show the whole property. So you'd have the stage here. You can see the first of the farmers market shelters here. And then of course the junction building's off screen. And then something else that we've discussed since the beginning, which we're going to do regardless of where the stage is placed, is putting some type of vegetative buffer down the east property line there. And I just have a picture of one example that we could use. This is a wax myrtle. I chose it over like a green giant just because this is a native species. We don't have to use wax myrtle. There's plenty of options out there. But this one, we can purchase these. They're already about 8 foot tall. They grow about 3 to 5 feet per year, and they grow to a height of about 30 foot. So I don't think those will do much for sound, but as far as a visual barrier, it really kind of delineates where your industrial property is, where the residential property is, and should help us from having issues there. And then this was another idea that was brought up. If we wanted to put something there, if council wanted to put something there while we wait on the trees to grow, I know you can see through these panels. They have a lot of different versions here, but it's just like a decorative fence topper to make those fences a little bit taller. Personally, I don't think those are exactly necessary just with as fast as those hedges grow. You know, they'll be up there in no time. And then the last thing I have is just, I've covered most of these, just a list of kind of the benefits to moving that stage. One that I do want to point out is what we're calling crowd noise. When I talked to that company, Biamp, in addition to, you know, that ease report is specific to the speakers they propose there. In addition to being able to control the sound off of your speakers and how you angle everything, one thing that he mentioned that we can't control is crowd noise. And, you know, if you put a couple hundred people in there listening to a show, you know, there's gonna be noise from that, and you can't do much to control it. If we put the stage in the new location, it at least gets the crowd away from the residential properties again, should prevent some of that noise or any litter or anything like that. Nobody has any business going behind the stage unless they're involved in the show. And then the last thing, there is no change in price for our contractor to move the stage location from where it's currently positioned. We would probably save a little bit of money, not much, because we're pulling power from Cross Street, so we'll have to go a little less distance, but it's not a huge difference there. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you have, or if you want to turn it over to our speakers.
Okay, let's let the speakers speak, and then you will answer questions. Is that okay, Corey?
Yes,
Mary
ma'am.
John?
I would like for him to show the aerial view where my house is located in proximity to the new location.
Okay.
Right there. You see where that, over to the left side of this picture.
Mary,
the side-
would you mind stepping to the podium? So,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
I'm Mary John Matthews. I live at 205 West Cross Street, Nashville. On the left side of this picture, where you see where the new sidewalk has been poured, that's my fence right there. At the end of that sidewalk is where they are proposing to put the new location, which is 35 feet from my back porch. 35 feet from my back porch. The original location was approximately 135 feet. And I understand that the noise may be less at the new location, but no matter which location you use, I'm going to hear the music. Had I rather listen to the music a couple times a week, or step out my back door and see a 20-foot building sitting there right in my eyesight. Every time I go out to sit on my screened-in back porch to enjoy a glass of tea or whatever, I'm glancing at that. It just does not seem appropriate. I asked, whose idea was it to move this? And I don't understand, but I was told that maybe some concerned citizens thought that it may be better for everybody. Well, to me, I'm the most concerned citizen because it's going to affect me more than anybody else. I've lived at this location for 37 years and intend to stay there until I die. And so when my children get ready to sell the house, and prospects come in and they walk out the back door and this 20-foot building is sitting there, I don't know. I've prayed about this seriously because I understand that maybe for my benefit as far as the noise goes, it may be better. But I may not be hearing the noise every day, but I'll be looking at that building every day. And I respectfully ask that you all consider not moving the location. You voted on it sometimes previously for the location to be where it was. I have accepted that, and I hope you will stick to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary John. And Tim, is Tim's?
Good evening.
Good evening.
She hit all the points. We got out there with a tape measure after Corey brought the thing by for us to look at. And we're talking 35, 38 foot from her back door. I know there's been a sound thing done. Even if it did make a difference in sound, when you move it 100 foot closer, it's not going to make no difference. You know, before, it was all the way to the right in that little hole you see going back there. So she had trees and her building and a fence. She was not going to be able to see the stage. We didn't like that, but we had no choice about that. But now, moving it up there in her yard, so to speak, 35, 38 foot from her back door, I think it's just uncalled for. I mean, I think it's a slap in the face, to be honest with you. She's got to open up her back door. That fence is about 7 foot tall. So I don't know if you can tell where her back door is. There it is. Bring it straight down to where the stage is going to be. Every day she looks out that back door and cracks her blind, she's got to look at the back of that stage. 18 foot in the back, 20 foot in the front. You know, are we happy with where it was at? No, but we've learned to accept it. We'll deal with it. Are we going to hear the music? Yes. We heard it when the Barnes girl had her thing down there. I called Mom. I could hear it over the telephone. Okay? Edith Gutton said her floors were vibrating. We're going to have to deal with that. But moving it up there is uncalled for. It's unacceptable. So please, take that in consideration and vote to leave it where it is and leave well enough alone.
Thank
Thank
you, Tim. Okay, council, do you have any questions for Corey?
Any questions?
Coy, is this the $70,000 stage that was in the budget?
I don't think it's costing 70.
Approximately. I don't have the breakdown of what that was.
Okay.
But it is included in the $510,000 project cost.
Right, yeah, I thought it was lower than that in the project costs. As far as the visual barriers that we've seen, what's the tallest natural planting that can be done right now? Like, what's the tallest it could be purchased at?
So, and we haven't done a whole lot of shopping. I just know this because we recently purchased some trees that we planted last week from Allen's Nursery. They have these wax myrtles, and they are close to 8 foot tall currently.
8 foot at purchase.
That's a-
Correct. And we might be able to shop around and find some larger than that, but I just know that's what we could get our hands on now.
And then as far as the green giants that you had mentioned, if we wanted to go that route, I know they're not native, but
I would have to check. I would have to check on that. They might be a little bit larger. They have about the same growth rate, reach the same height as far as your starting height. I'm not 100% sure on that. Wouldn't be any smaller than that, though.
But how tall, 20 feet? How tall is the building, the stage?
So
20 feet at
the
the peak.
the stage to the peak is right at 20 foot. It's 18-foot stage on an 18-inch platform. So you're right at, from the ground level to the peak here is right at 20 foot. The sides on it is right at 10 foot.
I don't see how you can hide that.
well, eventually the visual barriers will get up to even
Eventually.
past 20 feet. If it's going at 3 to 5 feet per year, and we're purchasing it at 8 feet, it should be a very short period of time. I guess in looking at what has happened and how they have done several of these concerts, and we're sort of seeing for the first time what works best there. I think we want to do what's best for the venue, but we also want to do what's respectful to you. This whole time, I think we've been trying to do things sound-wise, because I know that was a big concern to begin with, to say, okay, what can we do to minimize sound? We can put the sound panels in, we can do this, we can do that. And then we saw the sound projections, and the fact that it's very much blue by your house, to do the stage where it is, but it would be very much yellow-orange if we were to do the stage where the current agreed plan states. It would definitely significantly reduce the sound to put the stage closer. I know that sounds like it's not the case, but looking at the sound projection from the specialist, that it is the case. The crowd noise too, we wanted to reduce that. I know another one of the concerns that you had was people coming very close to your property and maybe throwing things that they shouldn't or doing things that they shouldn't. And so moving the crowd away, we kind of thought would be a better thing for that situation. I look at it from a safety aspect. I know I have 4 kids. At any type of show like this, there's going to be kids sitting on picnic blankets and watching and dancing and things like that, and having them that close to the parking lot, I think, is a safety issue, where if we were to have them, kind of corralled by the farmer's market and the other areas, for safety reasons, I think it makes more sense to have the stage up on the northern part. I look at it for litter. When people are getting up and getting rid of their pizza boxes and their soda cans and things after some of these events are over, I think if we're filtering people out closer to the farmer's market, it's where the receptacles are. It just makes more sense that they're going to throw things out. And if anything is left, it's not near your property. It's closer to the building where it can be easily picked up. Accessibility, the bathrooms are going to be inside of the building. The food's going to be inside of the building, so just making it more accessible for people. I think it makes sense to have the stage there. And so I hope to do things that will improve this. I hope to do plantings so that whatever visible problem you may have is gone in a very short period of time. And if you like the decorative panels, we can put the decorative panels up in the meantime. I think for functionality, for noise reduction, for safety, it just makes sense to move the stage where it's being proposed to be moved. But that's just my opinion.
Do you have anything, Lou?
Well, based on a lot of what Kate just said, it just makes more sense. My concern, were it me, would be more the sound, and I understand the visual is a thing, but I agree that maybe we have the means of getting something to take care of that, if not immediately, at least in pretty short order. But I know I would be a little bit more concerned having the sound coming closer towards me, and that rather than going away from me. So it would seem, based on what the sound engineer seemed to think, that that might be a benefit. And then for the other reasons Kate just mentioned, I think the accessibility, the people being farther away from Ms. Matthews' property, it seems to me that this actually would be a better option to have it in this location.
Something else I would like to point out, according to the map, the driveway into the parking lot is right beside Mary John's driveway. And there'll be a lot of traffic coming in and out. So that compounds your problem, I think, as far as noise and traffic.
I think that's part of my safety thing too. If you have cars coming in there, I don't want children or people who, if there's any sort of overflow, someone puts a chair out in the parking lot, I think for safety purposes, to have that buffer of the pavilion there and people sitting closer to the building, again, because that's an entrance and exit, it makes more sense.
Any other questions? And I understand what you're saying. I just want us to be respectful
Of course.
of our longtime
Of course.
citizen.
Of course. And I hope that we can do both.
So
Can I
to,
say something? Can I say one other thing?
Just
who is
at
that?
the podium.
Yes.
So how do you determine that people are gonna be easier access to the building when they're farther away from the building with the new site versus the old site? You got all that traffic coming in where these people are gonna be at. That's where people are gonna be. People are gonna be actually closer to her house now than they were before.
Before, the stage was in the bottom right-hand corner where
That's right.
where people would be sitting close to your mom's house. Now, the pavilion is up there, so the seating area is down closer to the building.
Okay, have you been out there and looked at that?
I've-
That map is very misleading on what you're saying now, I'm telling you that. It's a long ways from where it's at. They are the length of this room to the building. The other way, they are far from here to Church Street Grill from it. It's a big difference. It's very misleading. And, I mean, you guys are gonna do what you wanna do, but would you want it 35 foot? Every day you open up your blind, that's what you gotta look at. I've got green giants at my house, okay? They do grow fast. It's gonna take them green giants 10 to 12 years to overtake that. Still block their view. I mean, the other place was bad enough, but this is just, it's just not fair. It's not right to do this to a citizen of this town. Property value, it's killed it. It's gonna kill it. You know, not that she's gonna worry about that right now, but she's got enough to worry about with all this, but still,
I beg to differ. When I look at what the property was prior to, with the gravel lot and stacks of wood and a rundown building, I think this is only going to be an improvement to property value. I think that part,
would you want the stage 35 foot from your house?
to be honest with you, looking at that sound report, that's exactly where I would want it.
Okay, well, when it starts, I want me and you to go, and let's listen at the boom, boom, boom together. Because 35 foot is from me to you. That's where it's at.
Right. I
a
guess
big
I'm not a sound expert, so I'm simply
It's a big
looking at the report, and it looks to be that the sound is least when it is placed there. And if we put up the panels, I think it reduces the noise even more.
Well, what's before you, council, is to approve constructing the Nashville Junction Performing Arts Stage on the northeast corner of the grassy area, facing it to the southwest or not. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we move it to where it is proposed right now, to the north side of the property facing the south.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
So motion carries with 2. Okay, thank you.
We truly do want to do this in a respectful way. Anything that we can do panel-wise or visual-wise, we will do.
The next item on the agenda was the stormwater utility ordinance amendment. Randy, do you want to tell them about that?
Sure, actually, the next 2 items.
2 items, yes.
Because they have to do with controlling development, they require a public hearing before passage. Staff was unaware of that. Raz pointed that out to us. So I would respectfully request the council to table these 2 items till the December 5th meeting, at which time we can announce a public hearing, get it published in the newspaper, and then hold a public hearing before those ordinance amendments and the new ordinance are considered.
Do I hear a motion that we table these 2 items?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And I think that concludes everything except our budget amendment. Number 6, you received that. Do I hear a motion that we approve?
You have to make the motion to approve the add-on first.
Where's the add-on?
Oh, on
It's in
the
your hand.
agenda.
What?
So approve the agenda
Oh,
item.
yeah,
add-on.
we've got to approve the add-on to the agenda. Okay, do I hear a motion to add it to our agenda? I'm sorry.
Second.
Sarah, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And the item is the budget amendment number 6, to approve that amendment.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, the improvement of the budget amendment carries. Randy, do you have any other comments?
I was just going to offer, Deputy Chief Boykin is here tonight. He's kind of spearheaded his fundraisers for the Special Olympics. If you would care to hear from him, I thought it was rather remarkable that they were able to get a $10,000 donation for that torch run. Up to you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to hear it. Where, there he is.
Thank you. So the Law Enforcement Torch Run is a year-round fundraiser event for Special Olympics, and it's put together by police departments throughout the state of North Carolina. And we partnered with Travis Hedgepeth to do the run here in Nashville. And he agreed to do proceeds this year to Special Olympics. And with his help and our police department, all the work they did, he was able to give us a $10,000 check
Oh, man.
for the Law Enforcement Torch Run Special Olympics. So,
Great.
That's amazing. Thank
Yep.
you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Any other comments? Council?
I would like to comment, Mayor. This is my last council meeting for a 4-year term that I've been on the council. I just want to thank everyone for all your support over the 4 years. I'm very pleased with the progress that the town has made, and been a lot of achievements, a lot of good things, I think, that have happened. I have told both Randy and Brenda that the town has my full support going forward. I look forward to the good things that we can expect for our town and the council as we move ahead in the future. My reason for not taking or not running again, actually, I've taken a role of the pastor of congregational care at Nashville Methodist Church, and I'm finding that that's a very rewarding role, but it's also one that's requiring a great deal of my time. And so I had to make that decision, but I do look forward to wonderful things for the town, and please know that I will hold the staff, the department heads, and the council in my prayers going forward. Thank you.
and we appreciate your service.
Yes.
I want to thank everyone for the past 18 years of service to the town. I would implore you to stay involved in town government. Come to meetings. It's very important. I can't encourage you enough. And thank you.
And thank you for your service, Louise, for 18 years.
Thank you very much. You will be missed.
If there's no other thing for our agenda tonight, do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.